How can you tell if a painting that you're working on is finished? Do you sit and look at your work of art and you're still slaving away, and then you put your brush down and a few minutes later you've picked up another brush and you're just fiddling with it, and then all of a sudden it suddenly goes from looking half decent to looking overworked, muddy and a mess? Happens to us all, unfortunately. I've tried to come up with a solution over the many decades that I've been teaching art to try and help students not to overwork their pieces. And it all stems from when I was doing a lecture in calligraphy and the history of it. And I discovered that the monks in ancient times, who were the scribes, they had a demon called Titavillus, and Titavillus would collect all of their errors in a sack. So every time they slipped up when they were writing Bible text, Titavillus would come and collect that error. When the monk died, Titavillus would empty his sack, and depending on how many errors there were, the monk would go to heaven or hell. So you can imagine the monks constantly lived in fear of this and tried hard not to make any errors. So what I was thinking was, how can I kind of have a little reminder for art students? So I created a character, the Just Adder, Latin Crapius Artius. Now, the Just Adder is a cunning fellow. He enjoys eating overworked pieces of art. And he can come when he's called. And when he's called, that's too late. Your work has been destroyed. So when you're painting or drawing or creating anything and you're not sure if you're finished, as soon as you hear yourself say the words, "I'll just adder," stop. Don't add anything. Brush or pencils down, keep the work aside, maybe pop it in a cupboard and look at it the day after or several days later. As soon as you say the words, "I'll just adder," that's your brain overworking your piece. And as soon as you call the Just Adder, he's there and your work is overworked. So just bear that in mind when you're creating. It's not perfect, but nearly every time I hear a student say, "I'll just adder," it's followed briefly by the words, "oh dear," because they realise they've just added something that didn't need to be there, or it caused another problem in their work. So when you hear yourself say, "I'll just adder," don't. Do nothing, finish for the day and put your work aside. I know some people that will put their paintings aside for a week or two in a cupboard, and then they'll get it out and look at it, fresh eyes, and they'll see something totally different. And sometimes it looks more finished than they thought it did when they put it in the cupboard, and others they can see exactly what needs work. When you're working a foot away from what you're creating, it's hard to see what everybody else can see. You're seeing everything that you should have done and everything that you wish you'd done and everything that you wish you hadn't done. And that's the point where you need to stop and take a fresh look another time. So just remember the Just Adder and don't let him destroy your work.